Welcome. This is the second half of the Advanced Ancestral Lineage Clearing class on transforming genetic wounds. So, we're so glad you are interested in working with your ancestors to help clear and heal family patterns. And I hope you listen to the first recording of the class because we're going to pick up from where we left off. I hope you all have kept your notes from yesterday. And Candace, you can just work with us as we go through. What I would like to start off with is yesterday in class, we identified a family pattern when we got together with your partners to see what you would like to clear and heal. And then you found that core belief. I'd like to take it to the third step this morning as we start out, and I want you to formulate the intention statement. So go to your notes about what your family pattern was. What was the belief underlying that family pattern? What was the emotional belief under that family pattern? And then create your intention statement. And your intention statement begins with, I am looking for the original ancestor who. You can also use I am looking for the right ancestor who created this pattern, lived their life with XYZ. Okay, so take a couple of minutes. And Candace, if you have any questions or something, put it in the chat room and I'll try and help you work through this so that you're caught up.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Welcome, Angelina.
Hello.
We are starting off with creating the intention statement for the family pattern and the core belief that we did yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, take another minute and complete that. And if you need to fill it in a little bit more later, we can probably do that. Okay, why don't you come back now and we will move on. And so you will get to use the intention statement this morning because I'm going to have you practice with each other um, to do your ancestral lineage clearing here. Okay, so um, let's begin. Um, I am not going to go over the preliminaries that we have discussed before. I'll quickly itemize them. And then what I'm pulling up here, oops, wrong one. What I'm pulling up here is you received this Transforming Generational Wounds outline that I sent in the email to you. And this is a handy guide, particularly when you're first starting out, when you make sure that you have hit all the right spots, shall we say. After the last class, the class asked if I could, let's get this so everybody can see it. If I would send an outline so that they could check things off. So in our last class and in the other classes you've attended, we've talked about clearing your space, clearing the energy. And yesterday we covered working with your client to discover their primary issue, finding their core belief. Now, if you run into any resistance from the client, and occasionally you do, because um, they may not like to hear that, it sounds to me like the emotional basis of, oh, where did we go here? Uh, the emotional basis of this is X, Y, and Z. Just work with them until they're calm, until they're um, ready to move on. And remember, if you run into resistance, if you run into any issues, that the client that creates distress in the client, go back to the breath, breathe, breathe into your core, breathe into this space, breathe into it, and know that everything's all right. All right. And so once you have that intention statement, you are ready to begin the ceremony. And the ceremony starts with calling in the spirits. And so we've covered what spirits you want to call in, what your prayer is to call in those spirits. And that's how the ceremony actually begins. Then you can go to the cleansing meditation. And you can do any kind of cleansing meditation that you're comfortable with. I tend to use the waterfall meditation. It's quick, it's easy, people are comfortable with it. Other people use a rainbow meditation, they use sound, whatever works for you. Now, as you noticed yesterday, I didn't do a cleansing meditation with Helly. Well, I remembered to bring my plug-in for my computer today, so all's well. Because I've worked with Helly before, and She knows how to journey. She knows how to meditate. She's been meditating for decades. And so I knew I could take her directly into the beautiful place meditation. If you need to do a cleansing meditation, do that first. If you're unsure whether you need a cleansing meditation, the response is do it because you want to be you want to be able to get that client into that alpha or theta meditation state. So if they're anxious, if they're nervous or something, you start with a prayer, the cleansing meditation, then go into the beautiful place meditation, because that's going to help the client sink into that deep meditation space where we can do the actual work. All right. Remember, when you go to do the meditation of the beautiful place, to cover all four senses, five senses, whatever, you want to make sure that you have a visual image, an auditory image, a sensory image, a tactile image. And that is because people people operate primarily in meditation in their different senses. I'm primarily clairvoyant. That means I see pictures. And so when I meditate, I want to see a picture. Where am I? What's around me? Other people are auditory. They don't see pictures. They hear things. I hear the birds singing. I hear the animals rustling in the underbrush. I hear the wind through the trees. Some people are tactile, they're sensory. Feel the warm breeze caressing your cheek. Feel the time and the temperature around you. So you want to connect them all to their senses. And then lastly, whenever you're doing that meditation that's going to sink them into that deep meditation space, remember that you want movement in that meditation. Some people are used to meditations where, okay, here you are on this path. Now, call in your ancestors, call in your angels, and we want to make sure that the client is comfortable knowing that they can move in this meditation space. They can move through time and space. That's why I have them walk down the path, smelling the leaves, hearing their crunch, listening for the water, because while they're moving, their senses are still engaged, and then they are ready to begin the journey. It is critical that when you get them to the time stream, that you indicate to them, you tell them that there are two currents, one leading downstream, one leading upstream. Because if you just say, get in the water and we're going to move down to meet your ancestor, that's great. They get there, they meet the ancestor, we do everything, and they don't know how to get back. It's like, okay, this is a one-way street. We need to make sure that they know it's a two-way street. Now, this doesn't mean that they're never going to get back, that they're going to get lost, because you're going to bring them back. But it's a whole lot easier bringing them back if they know there is a starting place in that time stream that's going to bring them home. Okay, so those two currents are essential to just make your client confident and comfortable that we are going someplace in the past and we can come back. And setting their shoes or a favorite object or whatever at the tree gives them an anchor point that says you have reached the right place when they come back. All right. I have had clients overshoot this time and place and go into the future. And if that happens, what do? You trust your intuition. That there is something they must need from the future that they overshot this time, and just go with it. And it's like, okay, where's your ancestor? What does your ancestor from the future have to tell you? So trust yourself. Trust what happens in this space, because whatever happens is right for the client. But when you have that anchor point, when you have the shoes, the scarf, the bag, whatever you leave at the base of the tree, that tells your client you're in the right place. You're in the right time and place. Okay. And we always talk about journeying to the right ancestor, because sometimes the ancestor is far away. I have led clients to ancestors in the Stone Age. I mean, we're talking millennium. And that means that that family pattern has been going on for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And we can hit all of these other ancestors and they can give you a piece of it. But if we go to the right ancestor, the original ancestor that started the issue, then we clear it from that original ancestor all the way through the thousands of years into the present. Okay, so that's why we want to use certain words, and maybe you have a different word for it. I call it the right ancestor, the original ancestor. If there's something that feels better for you, make this your own as we go along. Now, we want to, when we get to the ancestor, the client is going to be talking to you like Helly did yesterday. Oh, this is what I see. This is what I hear. This is what I sense, etc. Some clients have difficulty when they're first in the meditation and moving to that ancestor, because it's like, I don't see anything. I don't know where I am. I don't know. They may need your support. They may need your guidance. All right. Okay. If you don't see anything, just breathe, relax. What do you feel? What do you hear? What's your sense? I had a client who I took on a journey. She got to the right ancestor place and she said, I don't see anything. It's all gray. I don't feel anything. I don't hear anything. It's like, okay. What do you sense? What do you know? What's your physical sensation? And she goes, oh, oh, I feel like someone is holding my hand. Great. So I went from there. Who's holding your hand? What does it feel like? How does that feel? What are you picking up from her? Because she identified that the hand that was holding her hand was a woman. Great. So I just went on from there. So when your client says, I don't get it, I'm not there, help them along. Okay, help them along. Helly was great yesterday because, here we're in the journey, step off the track. Oh, there's my ancestor, and this is what he wants to tell me, and this is what's happened, and this is what, right? She goes, great. When you have clients like that, they are such a blessing because it's just smooth. And the other clients are a blessing too. They just need a little more support. They just need a little more help. Now, one of the questions that came up in our beginning class was, what are you doing on the journey? What am I doing as the facilitator on the journey? As the person who was guiding the client, as I said, I am clairvoyant, so I see things. When the client meets the ancestor and says, oh, it's a woman and she's here, I see the ancestor. I get a sense of the time, the place, and what is around. I follow the client and the ancestor as they're moving through the journey. And I have the senses, I see what happens in their life. So trust your instincts and feel how you journey with that client and with that ancestor. You may not see what's going on. Are you hearing what the ancestor is telling the client? Do you just have that knowingness? Oh, this is what the ancestor is about. This is what the ancestor's life is bringing up. This is the issue. This is how it's resolved. All right. So you need to step into the journey with the client to meet the ancestor. Now, is there any questions about that? And for those of you like Angelina or Ishel, what do you do when you're on the journey? Um, can you see, sense, hear, feel, Ishel?
Um, by the way, I'm still just waking up, getting my brain moving. Um, when um, I'm not, I'm not visual or auditory. My sense is more knowing and feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and I do close my eyes and go into the journey with them. But um, and follow along, and I ask them a lot of questions and help guide them, especially when they feel stuck or they're not getting something. Um, I ask them more questions about it. Sometimes move them from one place to another if they're not in the right place. Um, I did have a question that kind of came up though when you were talking about it, is that sometimes when they don't, when it feels they're a little stuck,
Mm-hmm.
I have felt like I've guided them more than maybe where they were going based on some of the things that I feel and know as a in my work and my sense of things.
Right.
So I'm not always I'm sometimes I feel like maybe I've stepped too far.
Mm-hmm.
Um and and that's something to be careful of anyway, to not
Yes.
lead it too much, you know. If someone's getting one thing and you're like, no, that's not where you're supposed to be, that's not guiding, that's directing.
Right. Right. That's a good question. And um, the answer to that is number one, it takes practice.
Yeah.
The first step is recognizing that you're directing. Oh, I want you to go here, and you're going there, here, there. It's like, wait, back up. Okay, you breathe, tell them to breathe. And then it's like, all right, where do you feel like the ancestor is going? What do you feel the ancestor wants to tell you? And having that knowingness sense, I think is great. Um, because then you're not sometimes not distracted by the visuals. All right. You're not distracted.
Right.
You just have that sense of what's going to happen. And I also want to let you know that if your sense of where they should be going is different from where they are going, let them go in their own direction because you will find that they'll come back around to where you are. It may just take them longer. It may just take them in a more circular path to get there. How does that feel, Isha?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, sometimes they're not getting the lesson you think they should be getting, but yes,
Not
that's
your lesson.
the trick of getting out of the way. Yes.
That is the trick of getting out of the way. Thanks for bringing that up. I think that's a real important point. Okay, Angelina, do you have any experience when you're taking somebody on a journey that you can share with the group?
Similar
There we
to
go.
Excel, actually, because I think when you tune in and your instinct is to take them to a certain place, and you can see the visual, but like you said, Ariane, it's not our path. So how I go, how I might get in my car and drive to the supermarket, you might go in a different direction.
Right.
And we're kind of arguing the point that this is the best way, that's the best way, but yeah, like I say, you've just got to let them go. And it's interesting what comes up because I think some things that are what might seem very small to them, it's a real huge leap and confirmation that they know this is real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
there's kind of symbology on the way, and that you can always tell, when they reach the person, sometimes they can and ah, and then I'll know it's not the right person, but I can't tell them that.
Right.
And then when they meet the right person, you can feel yourself that that is the right ancestor, and it's just about being patient. But I think on the flip side of that, some people do need extra guidance,
Yes.
more and more information about textures and colours, and depending on how they are. I think people can feel quite nervous because they
Yes.
don't know how it's going to unfold. They don't know if they're doing it correctly, and especially if their issue is that they've been told that they're not good enough.
Yeah.
And so it can take quite a long time just to get them to the water. So I think it's, yeah, like Ishel said, it's tricky sometimes to know how fast to go, how slow to go. But I think with practice, it gets a bit better. It gets a bit easier. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Great. Thank you. I think that may be helpful for everybody to hear that, hey, it's not always simple, straightforward, easy like Helly was yesterday. It's like, okay, I'm here and there we go.
Yeah.
Right. So that's great. One of the things that you can do when you start taking the client on the journey is continually reassure them that it's all right, that the ancestors there, that you're doing it okay. Well, I don't know if this is where I'm supposed to be. You're fine. Just breathe into it and trust that your ancestor will meet you. Just a little reassurance. And sometimes that's all it takes for them to settle into it. Now, one of the techniques that I use pretty consistently when someone says, I'm seeing this person or I'm seeing this group of people. I don't know which is my ancestor. It's like, well, who are you drawn to? Which person catches your attention? And then if somebody comes up, you go, ask them if they're your ancestor or if they can take you to your ancestor. Okay? Because if you ask one of the people, spirits that they meet, if they're your ancestor, they'll tell you, nope, I'm not your ancestor. Okay, can you take me to my ancestor? Sure, come along here. Let me take you to the village. I can't say often, but there are a number of times when I've taken somebody on a journey, they get into the right time and place, and a spirit, an entity, a person steps forward to meet them, who is their spirit guide. And they take them to the ancestor. because their spirit guide is there and they're protecting them. They're assuring them that everything's okay. I did a session with a gentleman from Africa, and we get off the raft, and uh, and one of his spirit guides was standing there in full warrior regalia with a spear and a shield, and decorated. Are you my ancestor? No, come this way. Let me take you. It was fine. He loved it. He just loved it. And he felt really reassured when he met his ancestor. Okay. So trust what comes to them, and we'll move forward from there. All right. So the next step is you're on the journey and the client meets the ancestor. And I have found that there are two different approaches that clients take when they meet an ancestor. You have the client who is a detail person and is telling you every little detail. Oh, she's wearing a brown skirt with plaids and she has button-down shoes. She has a pink blouse and there's a jacket and she's got a hat and there's a barn in the distance and there's and blah, 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 blah. And 10 minutes later, she hasn't gotten off of meeting the ancestor. Nobody's talking, nobody, because she's describing all of these details, which to her is probably the way she lives her life. She's a very detail-oriented person. If somebody keeps talking and they're not moving, they're not interacting with the ancestor, again, just so I'm sorry to interrupt you. I want you to take a breath. I want you to take a breath and step back a little bit. Tell me how you feel. Tell me how the ancestor is feeling. Tell me what you sense and know. So get them out of the details into we're here to learn how we're going to heal and shift this pattern. So what's the pattern? Where is the ancestor in their life? What's the situation? What are the circumstances that created this pattern? Okay. So you want to pull them out of the detail and into the broader picture. And then sometimes you have clients who, oh, here's the ancestor. Yeah, they were tortured and abused as a kid, and now now they're mean and they're a warrior and they're killing people, and it's like, whoa, let's slow down. How did they get there? How did they get there? Right? So you can have clients that go either way. The next thing to be aware of is the way we've been doing journeys is you meet the ancestor. Where are they in their life? What's the situation? What's the circumstances? Because you have arrived at a certain point in their life that is important to that pattern that you're shifting. All right. So where are they in their life and what's happening to them? And then after we know where they are, then I take them forward in time. What's the next significant event in your life? In the book, I described the moving ahead a year, 5 years, 10 years. I got some feedback from clients, which is always really helpful, that says, I'm not sure that works for me. I want to know what the next important thing is. And it's like, fine, let's not do years, let's not do details, move to the next significant event. And that takes them to where they need to go. Oh, this is when mom and dad died. This is when I had to leave the village. This is all right. And so the other thing that can happen is you meet your ancestor as an elder at the end of their life. So you can't move them forward because moving them forward gets them to their deathbed. So How do you figure out how they got there, how the pattern was created? Remember, this is an interactive journey. You ask the ancestor to show you their lifetime. What happened in your life that brought you to this point? What was the most important events in your life that created this unhappiness? And the ancestor will tell you. They'll go back and say, when I was a kid, this happened. When I was a young person, this happened. And then you can bring them forward. Or just let the ancestor tell you what happened in their life until they reach their elder years. So trust however it happens, trust how it unfolds. And the next important concept is don't take no for an answer. All right? Don't take no for an answer. You take somebody on a journey, they step forward, they meet somebody. Are you my ancestor? No. Okay. Can you take me to the ancestor? Nope. Is there someone else around that can take me to the ancestor? Nope. Should I be in another place? Yep. 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 You need to go back a little further. Then you go back a little further. You get them on the raft and you move them a little deeper. There must have been a reason they connected with that ancestor. Maybe so they didn't feel like the journey was too long or something. But no is not an appropriate answer. You just keep asking questions until you get to a yes. And I had a client that met an ancestor and said, "Can you help me clear this pattern?" And he said, "Nope." Okay. Now what do you do? Is there anyone else that can help me clear this pattern? Oh, sure. You need to go here. All right. And let me tell you, it's a little disconcerting when something like that happens. But I want you to trust yourself. I want you to trust the spirit guide you called in. I want you to trust the ancestors because there is an answer. Yes, Heather.
Just a question. I'm assuming if that was the case, if you went all the way through in that example that you just gave, and it was, am I in the right place? And the answer was no, you'd take them back to the time stream and they'd get back
Yes.
on the raft. And then yeah, okay. And you just follow that until, yeah,
Yes. Good. I'm glad you clarified that.
yeah.
Sometimes I move a little quickly. So yes, exactly. You say, okay, thank the person that you met and step back to the time stream. And there's your raft and sit or lie back on the raft and um, move forward in time. Let the current carry you to the right time and place. The ancestors waiting for you. Okay. Yes, thank you for asking that, Heather, because I want to make sure that you're comfortable when these unusual situations appear. And I have to say that I would, about 80% of the time, the client gets off the raft, they move forward, there's the ancestor, and there's no problem. But I don't want you to be upset, get anxious if something different happens, because I want you to be comfortable trusting yourself and trusting the ancestor when you go on the journey. Okay. So use whatever is important to you, whatever instinct, sense that's important to you when you're taking them on that journey. And I have to say, I've been doing this for 25 years. And I've only had 2 clients that I had to pull back and we couldn't complete the journey. We couldn't complete the session. And one was a fundamental Christian who, when they met their spirit guides, when I called in the spirit guides, just freaked. Oh no, these are evil. These are, these aren't the saints. The Bible tells us this is wrong, that this isn't. It's like, okay, fine. Breathe. I don't think you're ready for this now, because his belief system didn't allow this kind of spiritual transition. So I just said, I think you need someone else to help you with this. You might look for a spiritual counselor in your church. So I just referred him to someone else. And so if that happens, know that sometimes it's not right for that individual. But like I said, that was like one or two people in 25 years. So it doesn't come up often. But trust yourself. And then when you're in the journey, yes, Heather.
It's another silly question that's linked to the example that you just gave, but if that did happen, and it was when they were meeting the ancestor, and there was this, brick wall
Right.
that you hit, which was more than just resistance. It was,
Right.
oh, I don't want to be
Yes.
here. This is whatever, as you described it. Would you bring them back gradually, back to the raft, etc., and take them back through the process? Is that how you'd handle it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to this journey. And it is a journey. It is a movement through time and space. And so you always want to bring them back to the beginning. Okay. So calm them down and say, okay, I don't think this may be the right this right technique for you, the right process for you. Let's come back home. So get on the raft and let the raft gently carry you forward in time to this time and place. And then, do the meditation and bring them out of the meditation, and then talk to them about, there's a right technique for everyone. There's a right person to support them and help them. And it sounds like it's not right for you. This is not the right thing for you. And you might look elsewhere. And I try and give them some direction. In this case, it's like, talk to somebody in your church. If you have counselors, your counselor can probably help you. And, I don't leave them hanging. Refer them to a therapist, whatever. And I always guarantee my work. If you're not happy with what has gone on, I will refund your money. And I refunded the cost of his session because I couldn't help him. All right. So it's whatever you feel comfortable with when that happens. But 99% of the time, if they come to you, they're drawn to you because they know you can help them. Okay. The next point where you're going to meet resistance is you get them to their deathbed. You ask them how they feel about their life. Oh, I was unhappy. This was hard. I didn't like it. Ask them if they would like to live their life differently. If they would like to change this life to live happier for themselves and their descendants. Because sometimes it's like, would you like to change this life for you? And it's like, hell no, I don't want to do this again. And it's like, would you like to change it for you and your descendants, your children and your grandchildren, and all of those came? Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, I'd like to do that. That's where the ancestor can bring up resistance. No, I don't want to do a life over again. I don't want to have to live this way again. I don't want to do this. So what happens is you um, you try and reassure the ancestor that it's going to be okay, that it's going to be better. All right. You can choose a better life without this pain, without this difficulty. And would you like to do that if it was happier, if it was better for you and everyone? That's when you get them to agree. And sometimes it takes a little encouragement. I don't ask that ancestor directly, the client does. Okay? Ask your ancestor if he or she, would like to do this life over again in a more positive way. And I have them ask the ancestors because it's not my ancestor. It's not my ancestor, it's theirs. And then you try to meet whatever resistance, saying this is better, this will be okay. And normally that's all it takes. And then you ask them to let their soul guide them to the right place where they made a decision and they can change that decision to change their life. Their soul guides them. All right. You don't guide them. The client doesn't guide them. Their soul guides them because their soul knows where that critical change point is. Now, sometimes what happens is the significant event in their life is that they were a warrior in battle and they got killed. So they want to go back to right before that battle and say, I'm going to kill the guy that killed me instead of the other way around. And it's like, no, breathe, breathe. Let your soul take you back to the right place. And it is generally when you are very young, sometimes as an adolescent or a teenager or early in your life. And if they still go back to the battle, there's something in the battle that needs to be changed. But normally what happens is they'll go back and choose not to be a soldier, choose not to be in that battle, be someplace else. All right. They just think they need to choose differently at the time of their death. And if you can just calm the ancestor and say, tell the ancestor to go back earlier in their life. Because that's when these patterns begin, and that's when they create the difficulties. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions about that ancestor resistance? Because if they've lived a terrible life, of course they don't want to do it again. I've had ancestors who were torturers, and they were great torturers. It's like, I'm doing this for the glory of God. Oh, I am, um, I am the emperor's primary torturer. I do a good job because I get people to tell me that they're spies or whatever. But it's like, and you hit an ancestor that's a torturer and you're going, oh my God, this is terrible. It's like, no. Why are they there? What are they doing? Why are they doing it? And so you get them to see that these were people who made those choices because there was something in that choice that they needed during that lifetime. Only we don't need to carry. We don't need to carry that energy. We don't need to carry that pain. And so generally they go back and they choose another livelihood, you know, they choose, to be a priest instead of a torturer or whatever. Okay. So when they are living difficult lives, you just need to make sure that they make a positive choice with their soul's guidance. That's the critical issue. Let the soul guide them. Then they go through that life. You ask them how they feel about this life, and then ask the ancestor for a message. And the messages that they give your client, are generally just wonderful. They're sweet, they're supportive, they're loving, because the ancestors are going, trust yourself, live your life to the fullest, know that you're worthwhile. The ancestors' messages are wonderful. And then you bring them back the same way. Because, like I said, this is a journey. You have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you want it to go from the end and you want to flow backward to the beginning. So you just repeat the process to go back. When you get to the place where you do the 3 breaths to bring them back into this time and place, bring them back into their body, you do the 3 breaths, have them stretch before they open their eyes. Now, I was taught, breathe, open your eyes, stretch, get back into your body. And what I've learned from the grandmothers is that if you open your eyes before you're fully back in your body, you tend to get a headache. You tend to get a third eye headache. And so if you stretch and you move your body and you're fully anchored in your body, then you don't get that headache. Okay? So that's something, I'm always learning. Hopefully you are too. Okay? So I'm going to go quickly through some other things, and then we're going to get practice and ancestral lineage clearing. All right. If you have clients that you are working with in person, what is sometimes helpful is to clear the energy of that first lifetime while after you have come back. All right. I generally clear energy when the client comes back and they are still distressed over that first lifetime. Oh my God, my ancestor was a torturer. He tortured all these people. This is, and they're crying and they're still, but look at their second lifetime. Oh yeah, that was nice. But they're still carrying some of that emotional distress. That's when I clear their energy field. I ask them to breathe in the first lifetime of the ancestor that held that unwanted pattern. And I use rattles, drums, gongs, bells. Choose your weapon, okay? Choose your clearing energy space, right? And know that melodic, calming, soothing music or sounds tend to set in energy. That's why we like music. It sets in positive energy. We don't want to do that when we're clearing someone's energy field. When we want to clear and cleanse someone's energy field, you use dissonant energy. Okay? You rattle, you drum, you use gongs, or you sound dissonant energy. Now, hold on just a second. Let me see if I can change my audio so that This is sound for musicians. And what I have found is if you're on Zoom, this doesn't work real well because it doesn't translate real well. So I would take a rattle around them. Right? Different energy. It's not calming. It is not rhythmic. And in a minute or two, you can just feel that energy lifting, breaking away. And I always ground it into the earth. What I can do when I have the music setting on my audio over Zoom is I can gently do some toning, some dissonant sounding. That will also break up energy. So, whatever works for you, whatever is best for you to break up that energy, you can use. Now, if they come back like Helly yesterday, that's why I wanted to do a session yesterday. So we have a reference point. Helly comes back. She feels fine. The ancestor just walked right in and said, okay, we're going to change this. We're going to move this. This is good. She comes back. She's happy. The energy is set in. You're good. You don't need to clear. But if you need to clear, use dissonant energy. And there are multiple ways to clear. Okay. You can use a feather and brush down their energy bodies. All right. You can also, like I said, you can use sound, you can use your voice, you can use instruments. I even held a class where I had an herbalist in class, and we were in a place with nature. She went outside, cut down some plants, brought the plants in, and cleared the energy field by moving the plants and clearing her fields with plants. Whatever is your source of support, tap into it and trust it. Okay. So I think we're going to get to some exchanges before we continue with flowing into post journeying issues. So let's take a bio break now, because as we're going into the ancestral lineage clearing, I'm gonna give you about 45 minutes to an hour, so that you have enough time to go through that journey. All right. So I will. And we're resuming our session after our participants did an ancestral lineage clearing. Looks like Helly dropped off. Hopefully she can rejoin us. So, how did your session go?
Brilliant.
Anybody want to volunteer? Yes, Angelina.
It was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, really, really great. And I still don't believe it's Jen's first session. It was really good. And what felt really great about it was Jen's tone and her speed, um, and the fact that she has a very delicate voice, but also it's got the strength behind her. You can feel it. So it's really soothing, calming, but also grounding. It was so great. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Jen. You're awesome. It was interesting what came up. It was very interesting. And there was a point where, had Jen not kept that pace, I was in a completely I don't know where I was expecting to go, but the environment was completely different, and I wasn't expecting that. And so, because she kept the pace, and she was patient with me, but then also didn't let me hang around too long. Then yeah, we got where we needed to be. It was a beautiful experience.
Excellent. Oh, thank you. Jen, terrific. Good job.
Thank
And
you.
how did that feel for you?
Well, I was very nervous to begin because I have not I have not walked through this out loud with
Mm-hmm.
anyone. So yeah, I was just trying to keep a good pace and kind of feel it out while I was saying it. That helped. Um, I feel like I got lucky because I maybe part of it is Angelina knowing how the process works and but the um her feedback and her answers um kind of helped me pace that out as well. Um I feel like we got through it very well.
Mm-hmm.
Only at the end I had to ask, is at this point where I clear the energy and so so we talked about that a little bit, um, where I cleansed the first timeline's energy, and
Right.
then we talked about setting in the new energy with the symbol, the affirmations, and the physical project. So that's the only part that I felt a little bit held up on the order of those things, but
Uh-huh.
I'm just really happy to have completed a session.
Well, terrific. It sounds like you did a lovely job. And yes, um, one of the important pieces for everyone to remember what Angelina said is patience. Patience and maintaining, that space and the pacing, that's going to get your client to wherever they need to go. And if you try to rush it, either you're going to lose the pace or they are. And Jen, it sounds like you did an excellent job with your patients, allowing things to unfold the way they needed to. So, um, let's give Jen uh, some congratulations for the good work she did. Yay. And thank you, Angelina, for helping her out. All right, who would like to share next? Michelle.
It's a very good session. Um, I tend to get my head a little, I do my best to not get my head and think I'm directing it through my thoughts. But because my sense is in knowing, it's sometimes um, um, the kind of it's and it. What's interesting is where we went wasn't surprising at all either. It just
Mm-hmm.
felt very much like it made sense. Um, but Heather followed along and with a lot of confirmation that she was picking up so much of what I picked up. Really hard to say goodbye. I got emotional about it to come, and so I will want to connect with her more. Yeah, and she was very smooth, gentle, easy to follow along, and yeah, very sweet.
Good, good. Thank you. Yes, sometimes um, the clients want to stay in the past. They want to stay with the ancestor. And it's really appealing when they get to that positive life. It's like, oh, yeah, this is really nice. But the whole point of this healing session is so they can come back and live a better life in this time and place. So, I'm glad you brought that up because that is very common with clients. It's like, oh, I like this. I want to stay here. And it's like, that's not where you live. That's not where you live. So let's make the present as welcoming as the past. So great. Heather, would you like to comment on your session with Ishel?
Yeah, no, it was good. And I sensed I already, when she was telling me what she could
Hmm.
um feel, I already saw the house in the woods, like a shack in the woods. I could see it in the background. So what you were saying about being able to see into what the client's seeing, I think it was definitely true. One thing I was a little bit, so we did the symbol at the end.
Hmm.
Um, I wasn't entirely sure what the affirmation with instructions and the project or task, what that was. So we just did the symbol because that's all I really felt I really knew.
Yes, that's fine. And we will go over that.
Okay.
I didn't want to delay doing the session because I thought that was more important for you.
Mm, mm.
Um, and so I will go over the rest of that
Mm.
with you.
Thank you.
You'll have a little more instruction on that, okay?
Good. Thank you.
Good. Ishel, did you want to comment?
Yeah, what with the symbol, when she brought that up, what I left by the tree was staff. And when I came
Mm-hmm.
back and I picked up that staff, I was like, that's the symbol. Um, and and I was saying, I can't really carry a decorated
Right.
carved staff around with me because they're big and heavy. And every time I get one, I travel too much and it's not something you can just grab on a plane and all that. And I mentioned how my hiking stick is what I take, but it's a collapsible hiking stick.
Right.
I also realized in saying that it can symbolize that. Um, but when she asked about that, bringing it in, the staff
Right.
symbolizes being centered. It symbolizes that holding my center strong. So it really fits a lot with what I picked up
Great.
in the session. So,
Good, good.
um,
We'll go over those items in just a minute. Let's finish with Candace and Helly. But that's great, and that's a perfect example, Ishel. Okay. So Candace, do you want to tell the group about
Yeah,
what you
sure.
experienced?
So I worked with Helly. She did a really great job of getting me into the state. Um, she did a really good job with walking me through and taking me down the stream to meet my ancestor. When I got there, the ancestor that I met, it wasn't who I expected it to be, which is perfect because it's who I needed to see. Um, my intentions going into was to find out where the energy of debt came from.
Mm-hmm.
And that ancestor, he explained that, he had a problem with gambling
Ah,
and it caused a lot of problems between him and his brother, which is my great grandfather. And so that energy trickled down for about 3 to 4 generations.
yeah.
And so we were able to cleanse that energy. And after I saw like a lot of lights between the three brothers.
Mm-hmm.
It was like Christmas lights. And I did come out a little bit early because my neighbors started to make some noise. But besides that, it was a really great session.
Terrific, terrific. Yes, being distracted by outside events, um, can be an issue, can be an issue. So, try and get to a place where it's quiet and you're not disturbed. And Candace says she lives in a studio apartment, so it's pretty limited that she doesn't have many other places to go to. But I've had clients do their session in the bathroom, in a closet. Um, someplace that has less outside interference. So you'll just have to work with that and try and find it. But Candace, it sounds like you had a real positive experience.
I did.
Great, great. And Helly, sounds like you were wonderful as always.
Yes, yes. When she said, I need to get out, I was like, oh, no, 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 no. I was like, no, no, you cannot. I have to come out. I said, oh my God. That I said, but then I worked around it in that way that we anyway thanked the ancestor. And I said, he's still there connected to you, so we can still say thank you and say goodbye and so on, and also made sure that we still took the images back the path to the present moment. So in that sense, it was a nice challenge.
Yeah.
Well,
I learned something. Yeah.
yeah, that's excellent. And sometimes we learn more from the challenging issues that arise than we do from one that's easy and
Yeah.
straightforward,
Yeah, it
right?
was a surprise. And also, I all the time from the beginning, I felt the really wonderful heart energy was
Mm.
flowing, and I was thinking this is the somehow the energy of ancestral healing, the love that is there from us and from ancestors. So that was, I still feel it very warm in my heart. Thank
Oh,
you.
perfect. Oh,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
Happy.
Helly. Thank you, Candace. Yes, and that's what that safe space is about. Holding safe space is about holding that loving energy, holding that positive energy, and that will take you wherever you need to go because the ancestors love us. They love us. They don't want us to make the same mistakes that they did. And so they're perfectly willing to change. They want us to be happy. They want us to be positive. They want us to have abundance in our lives. And so if we trust that when we go into the session, then, you know, all is well. All is well. So great. Thank you for bringing that up, Helly, because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's an essential component of doing this work. Okay, so let's talk about resetting the energy from the ancestors' lifetime. Okay, when you, uh, I'm going to share this. When you have a session and you get finished with the process where you go into the past, meet the ancestor, they change their life, what we want to do is make sure that that change becomes permanent with the client. And so we want to make sure that the new lifetime's messages, the new lifetime's direction is clearly set in the client's energy field, right? And we started off talking about epigenetics, and and this portion of what you do in a session is about changing the epigenetics in the client's energy field. The meeting of the client in the past, in this journey, resets the spiritual energy field of the client because we've connected in that deep meditation space. We've connected in love in that sacred space with our guides, with our spirits, with us. And so that has shifted in their spiritual energy field. The symbol changes the emotional energy field. And when you ask them to bring forth a symbol, they work with the symbol in their energy field for 30 days. because psychologists have done multiple research experiments that say when we want to change a habit or create a new habit, it takes anywhere from 21 to 90 days. And so 30 days is, a real common tool to use to set that. And what I always tell my clients is, if it feels complete at the end of the 30 days, then just release it and let it go. If it doesn't feel complete, then continue working with it until you feel like you're finished. Now, let's talk about Ishel's symbol. Ishel's symbol is her staff. This big, heavy, decorated staff that she can't carry with her, right? It's a great symbol. It's a great symbol because as she identified, it helps her ground, it helps her stay centered. The symbol does not have to be the actual staff. It can be a picture of the staff, can be a drawing of the staff. It could be a piece of jewelry that looks like the staff. You just want to have it in physical form. Oh, my symbol is the sun. I'm going to look at the sun. And it's like, nah, that's not a good idea. You can get a picture of the sun. You can draw a picture of the sun. You can get a piece of sun jewelry. You can get a pillow in the sun shape. Anything that has that image on it is enough, because what the client does with the symbol is every time they see a symbol in the next 30 days, they bring in the emotion of that second lifetime of the ancestor. Okay, that's the purpose of the symbol. The next item is affirmations. Affirmations change the mental energy field because affirmations create new neural links in the brain. All right. And I always give instructions with affirmations because people do affirmations differently. And a lot of the times what will happen is that people say, I do affirmations. I get up in the morning and I just say to myself, this is going to be a good day. This is positive. I'm, filled with love. And it's like, that is not an affirmation that will change the neural highways in your brain. The best way to do affirmations is to say them out loud in front of a mirror, because that way you see them, you hear them, and you say them. So it works on your visual field, it works on your auditory field, and it works on your tactile field. And you say the affirmations for 30 days, 3 times a day. That's the recommended pattern for affirmations. And where do you get the affirmations? Either you can create the affirmations or you can have the client create the affirmation. Whatever works. Some clients are not going to be able to create an affirmation, particularly if they're not quite grounded yet, right? I tend to do the affirmations, and how I do it is I ask the ancestors to give me the affirmations. All right, let's take Candace. Her issue is about debt. It's about prosperity. And her ancestor was a gambler, and so he let that gambling addiction go. So what are your affirmations? Affirmations are always in the first person, they're in the present, and they're positive. I am trusting in the abundance of the universe. I have sufficient money and wealth to meet all my needs at all times. I know how to manage money, and I am supported in managing money by the spirits and by my ancestor. Okay? Just, it has to relate to the intention, has to relate to the change that happened, and creates a positive reinforcement that all is well and that this change is real and true and incorporated in my life. And then the project or task is related to changing your physical energy field. All right. How you change your physical energy field is with your creativity. What is your creative skill? What do you enjoy doing, making? And it has to be something physical, because the project or the task holds the energy of that second lifetime. Okay? We'll go back to Candace again. Sorry if you feel like I'm picking on you, dear. Your project is going to be to create something that says, I am prosperous. I have everything I need, and I am debt-free. Now, what that creative project is depends on what you're good at. Do you want to make something? Do you work with clay? Do you want to make a bowl? Do you write? Do you want to create a story? Do you sew? Do you want to create some kind of banner? Do you draw? Do you want to do a painting? Talk to the client about what their creation talents are. And at the end of it, when you assign a task, it has to be something that creates a physical form of some kind. All right. It's just not, oh, I'm thinking that I'm going to talk to the moon every day. You want something physical because it's going to hold the energy in the physical field that they can draw on if they need support. Okay? And then after you do the task, the energies, the affirmations, make sure to know whether the client understands how what they learned applies to their intention. And it was real clear with both Ishel and Candace, and with Angelina, that they knew how the session applied to their intention. Oh yeah, we're clearing up debt. We're clearing up lack of money. We're clearing up being grounded. We're clearing up being too serious. And with Angelina, I'm sorry, I didn't get your intention statement.
No.
But did you understand how it applied to what your ancestor did?
When we got the symbol and the affirmations in the project. Yeah.
Okay. See, and that's why after you give them that, then they understand how that relates. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, Angelina.
Well, can I just put something in the chat, because this just goes to show how cool this is. So
Certainly.
when I met my ancestor, he shifted to a different place, timeline, same family, and the message that he gave me and the symbol that came forward was a room called Fehu, and I can't remember the name of the room, but it is Fehu. And can I just put this in? This is what, in the chat box, this is what Fehu symbolizes. And which is really, really beautiful because where I'm at in my life, I've shifted my business and I'm really having to focus on my mission. And my ancestor told me to keep following my mission. It's the right path.
Right.
And this is beautiful because this is exactly what I need right now. You know, the confirmation and along with the affirmations. And it's just beautiful how it all sinks in. So, yeah, but my ancestor the issue was disconnect from parents, children, and there was a real void there. Where it took me, I did not expect it to go. But yeah, the ancestor was left alone in a really desolate, icy cold, iceberg type situation, not on an iceberg, but
Oh,
in an
yeah,
old fishing village,
sure.
really on his own. And he just stepped back in time to Prairie Land. And he
Ah,
went back with his mother, met the same wife, had the same kids, and everything from them was just like in Technicolor, as opposed to it's like a black and white image. And he was just so peaceful, and I felt it in my heart. And for him to give me that message was just beautiful. Well, it is beautiful. This work is beautiful, isn't it? And
it
I
is.
just love it when it just sinks in like that because you just feel like, yes, thank you.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
thanks.
just
It
terrific.
was
And I
great.
love the symbol. Represents material gain, abundance, new beginnings, and the creative potential or energy required to achieve success. That's awesome.
Beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, I love
Let's
it.
let's
Yay.
congratulate Angelina.
Thank
Yes,
you.
lovely. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And um that's the way it's supposed to go, right?
Yeah, and I think this is the thing. Even if you don't know what this thing is, but can I just quickly talk to Excel for a second? Because
Sure.
I believe you know what the staff stands for and the
Uh-huh.
walking stick because you need to do that walk.
Right.
But that's what it felt like to me.
Sure.
But yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, that's why it's important to have faith in the process, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Because if I know I kind of worked it out quite soon, but it might be 20 days in the process
Yes.
that there's some kind of synchronicity, and then you
Hmm.
realize that's what that is about, and that's why that is there. That's why I was being gifted that symbol, and yeah, it's beautiful.
Great. Yeah, and it takes time to shift our belief system. It
Yeah.
just takes time to have it work through our energy fields so that it becomes part of us. It becomes integrated. And so I have found that clients come back and say, well, that was really nice, but yeah, I feel better, but it hasn't really changed my life. And it's like, okay, did you do the follow-up work that we directed with the symbol and the after? Oh, well, no, I got busy and I stopped after about a week. And I said, well, you might want to go back and look at that and see if you can get a little more support. And they come back and say, that really worked a whole lot better. So you're right. After a while, it just, and you do the tasks, you do the symbol and the affirmation, it makes a difference because it makes it easier to incorporate into your life. All right. And let me share this. Uh, let's get that one up. All right. Um, this is the form that I use to follow up on an ancestral lineage clearing session. Okay. So before we get there, Jen has a question.
If somebody falls off, like you just gave the example of, would you advise them to start over in those 30 days or pick up where they left off?
Um, I would suggest that they start over, but if it feels like they don't need the 30 days to do it until they feel that the energy is anchored fully in their life. So tell them to use their intuition and to trust themselves when they do the follow-up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, what you're looking at, and I did send this to you in the email, is the template that I use for an ancestral lineage clearing session. Now, you do not have to do this when you do the sessions. I do this because I think it's helpful for the client. After I have a session, I fill out this form and I send it to them with an email that says, here are my notes from the session. You can record a session or have them record it on their computer. My sessions generally take about 2 hours. And frankly, I'm not going to go back and listen to a 2 hour Zoom recording because it's time consuming, right? And I know it, and it's like, oh, well, yeah, I remember this. I'm going to fast forward. This is a summary of what is done in the session. You put in their name and the date. What's their issue? So you write down what they tell you they're looking for, and you write out their intention statement because you might have clients that come back to you again and again, and it's like, oh, didn't I do a session about estrangement in the family? Didn't I do a session about poor relationships? And this will give them the link that shows what the session was about. I do a summary of the first lifetime, a summary of the second lifetime. First lifetime. Oh, I met my ancestor in the frozen north in the middle of winter, where they were struggling and had a difficult life. Second lifetime, they're now on the prairie. Things are warmer, they're more abundant, and life is better. Okay, you can make this as short or as long as you like. Mine tend to be a couple of paragraphs on each lifetime. So find out what works for you. I always write out the message so they remember the message. Oh, yeah, this is what my ancestor wants me to know. Okay. And then if you want to know why you do the symbol, the affirmation, and the project, I have it listed here. Keep in your energy field for the next 30 days the symbol to embed it in your emotional energy body. To reset your neocortex, repeat out loud in front of a mirror 3 times a day for 30 days. Complete within 30 days a project, and the project is here, to embody the changed positive energy of the second lifetime. Okay, so this gives them instructions, and it also refers them back to why they're doing this. Some clients have come back to me and say, oh, yeah, it was a lovely session, but I'm feeling really emotional, or, I've been having headaches. And it's like, drink plenty of water because you're detoxing. And I send them the link to Misa Hopkins' holding meditation. Then they can hold any distress that's coming up, physical distress, emotional distress, or whatever, and just hold it until it quiets and until everything resolves. And that generally takes about 3 days. I've never had anybody contact me months later and say, oh, I'm still having headaches. Oh, I still don't understand that. After about 3 days, and they do the exercises, then they seem to settle in. So does anybody have any questions about this? And feel free to modify this if you would like to do something different. All right, but you have this form. Now, in order to be certified, you need to do 3 sessions on your own with another individual. They can be somebody in class, they can be family, they can be friends, they can be somebody you dragged off the street. But you need to do 3 sessions, fill out this form and send it to me. Okay. And at the end, at the bottom of the form, if you ran into any difficulty, oh, they had a hard time connecting with an ancestor. Oh, the ancestor resisted change. And it took a long time to do that. Oh, I'm having difficulty finding affirmations for them. Let me know if you have challenges, if you run into problems or something, and we'll discuss them. I'll email you back or we can schedule a meeting by Zoom. Okay? Questions? Yes, Michelle.
Question for the people who were guiding today. Would you count that towards their certification? If they were
Okay. No, because this is a training session and also you have my support and you have the group energy. The group energy holds space for you to do this. And I want to know that you can do this on your own and create that loving, strong, sacred space when you work with individuals. Okay?
And another quick comment. I'm
Yes.
open to working with anybody that wants practice.
Good. And if anyone else, Angelina, Candace, yeah, if anyone else would like to practice with someone else in the group, and that will count to your 3 sessions, put your address in the chat room, put your email address in the chat room, and then you can connect with each other and schedule a time to get together. Okay, and Helly's willing to work, and Jen says she needs volunteers. So Michelle's email is in there, Helly's email, Angelina's email. So yeah, work with each other. I mean, look, you have Jen's email is in there. You know, you've got 3 people here already that are willing to support you, willing to help. So, okay, great, great. And when I post the replay, the chat is also listed in the replay. So if you haven't had time to copy all of the email addresses, they should be in the chat that you get in the replay. Okay, so the final things are be sure to release the spirits. Okay. I have on occasion finished a session, said goodbye to everybody, and went, oh, wait a minute, the spirits are still hanging around. It's always better if you release the spirits when you're with your client. If you don't, you can do it afterwards because the spirits love us. They're here to support us. So you can say goodbye, but it's always better to release the spirits when you're in the session. You have the option to send the client that template that we discussed, or if the client wants to record the session, you might have them recorded on their computer. Then you don't have to worry about getting a replay and um, and on Zoom and then transferring it to them because if you have a long session, it takes a long time to download and get the replay. Okay, so those are options. You don't have to do those for a session. Okay, Jen asked, anyone who participated in a clearing today would have to wait. Okay, hold on. The chat just closed. Would have to wait at least 30 days. Jen, talk to me. 30 days for what?
Oh, if they did a clearing session today,
If you were the
they
client or
would,
if you were the facilitator?
if they were the client.
Okay, you don't need to wait 30 days to hold a session for someone else. Okay, because while you're doing the follow-up, while you're doing the symbol and the affirmations, you can still do an ancestral lineage clearing for others.
Right. And if you're the client,
If you're the client, continue doing your practices, your symbol, your affirmations, and your project.
mhm.
Okay, you sound like you're uncertain.
So if they were the client today and they will do their affirmations and project, they would have to wait until that's complete to do another session.
Yes, yes. Okay, now I see what you're asking. All right. I recommend that clients do not do multiple ancestral lineage clearings sequentially until they've completed the tasks and the symbols and the affirmations. Because normally what happens is that you're shifting too much energy at one time. And that's when clients get headaches. That's when clients get emotionally fragile. And so if you were the client, you might wait and feel what's right for you. I mean, Ishelle and Angelina have been doing this for a while. I mean, this is a refresher for them. And some um, perhaps some of the other um, people who are watching the replay, they may feel like at the end of 2 weeks they are settled, that they have brought in enough energy that they're ready for the next session to be the client in the next session. So check intuitively whether you're ready for a next session if you have been the client in the session today. If you've been the facilitator, you can facilitate as many sessions as you want at any time. You know, I do multiple sessions a week. I generally don't do multiple sessions a day anymore, but I do multiple sessions a week. So if you're a facilitator, you can facilitate more. If you're the client, wait and make sure that you feel intuitively that you have completed shifting your energy before you bring up another pattern that you want to heal and clear. Okay, now Jen, does that answer your question? Okay, I think that's the question. I think that's the question that she was looking for. Um, so um, So we have people who are willing and able to help you do your practice sessions. And that's great. That's the advantage of being in a class. And if any of the other students who are watching the replay are willing to exchange with you and do practice sessions, I will send their email on to you. Okay? So now, I try to keep things on time. Looks like we're pretty much on time here. Does anyone have any questions over anything that I've covered that wasn't clear? Okay. And I sent you all of those documents on the emails, and I know there were a lot of them, but I always find that if I have references, it's like, oh, wait a minute, how did that go? It's helpful. And since the people in the first class asked for an outline, I created one for this class. And just so that you know, I don't know if I put it in the notes, the ALC Transforming Generational Wounds ceremony outline covers not only the Ask Your Ancestors process, but also the clearing and healing family patterns. And the blue in that outline are the additional materials that are needed for an ancestral clearing session. The black is for if you just want to, if you just want to walk someone through asking their ancestor a question for guidance and support. So I hope that's clear. Okay,
Just wanted
well,
to add a quick note. I put it in the
yes.
chat, but we do have 2 women in Australia as well as Val in the UK that are
Yeah.
doing it by recording. So I know they're very open to some of this exchange.
Oh, good. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes. Lee, particularly in Australia, said she's open to doing an exchange. Nicole tends to be a little busier. I will check with her to see if she's open. And Val in the UK may also be open. And if that's the case, I will send you their email and let you know that they're also available for an exchange. Okay, thanks for bringing that up, Michelle. And thank you all for joining me here in this class. I am delighted to certify additional people to do this work because when we change and heal our families, we change and heal the world. One of the benefits of being certified is that once you complete your 3 sessions and send me your session template, you are entitled to be put on my practitioners list on my website. So you can send me your photo, you can send me your address if you have a website, or an email address if you want, your location. And I do general locations: Arkansas, US, London, UK. I don't put any physical addresses on the website because I want to honor your privacy. All right. So anything you want me to include, like if you do other work like Reiki or healing touch, something, we can add those on the website. If you take a look at the practitioners list on the website, you'll see what the listings are about. And if you send me your information, I will post your information on the website so that people can contact you in your area for a session. Okay, so you can open up your lines if you want to say goodbye to everybody.
And there's a Facebook group too.
Oh, thank you. I
Oh,
almost forgot
yes.
to mention that. There's a practitioners Facebook group, and that's a good place to post questions or comments on things. You know, sometimes people post, oh, I had a client that did this, and I'll respond or answer or whatever. So you can share your experiences on the Facebook group, and I'll send you the link to that. Goodbye, blessings
Thanks,
and love
Ariane.
to you all.
Nice
Thanks,
meeting you
Ariane.
all.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. I loved it.
Yes. Oh, one more thing before we leave. There's always one more thing. I should look at my list. If you're interested in doing karma clearing, I'm going to hold a karma clearing, which is going to be a 1-day class. Okay. It'll probably be like 3.5 hours. And it will be in July. I will send an email out to everybody that's in the that has been in this class. And the karma clearing class is going to be on July 28th, which is a Tuesday, from it's 8 o'clock Pacific time, to 11 or 11:30. And then you can and then you'll be able to do karma clearing for people, because sometimes people come to me for an ancestral lineage clearing and we find out it's not a family pattern. Does anybody else in your family have this trouble? No, I think it's just me. We may need to clear your past life karma because that may be where the issue comes from. Then you can do karma clearing. Okay?
Yes,
Now,
nice.
I think we can leave now, unless anybody has any more questions.
Nice to see everyone.
Nice to meet you
Good
all.
to
Nice to
see
meet you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you
Good
for
to keep in
coming.
touch.
Thanks, Ariane.
Yes. Blessings, one and all.
Great
Mm.
weekend.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Oh.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye all.